Welcome to this module on brainstorming. Brainstorming is an important skill as consultants need to be able to come up with quality ideas in a structured as well as in a repeatable manner. Firms would want to test how you think, how you brainstorm, right? Because if you're somebody who can come up with relevant ideas, you will add a lot of value to team as well as client discussions. So, in this module, we will be covering the approach to brainstorm. And we will also be applying this approach to StreamPro brainstorming example. Let's look at the three-step approach can help you effectively brainstorm. The first step is defining the key question, right? So in the first step, try to identify the key question as well as the focus metric, right? That you're generating ideas against, right? Be very clear on the definition of the key question, right? What are you trying to brainstorm? Second, we break down the question or the focus metric, right? Disaggregate it into direct drivers as well as sub drivers. After we have broken down the key question, only then we start generating ideas, right? If there are certain drivers, underlying drivers, you can deprioritize. In that case, we focus on generating ideas only on the prioritized drivers. Now, let's go back to our StreamPro case. Let's assume the interviewer has prompted you to brainstorm and he wants you to generate ideas or list strategies to grow StreamPro's non-subscription based revenue. So we now have a clear focus metric, non-subscription based revenue. So we start applying our three-step approach. First, we start with defining the key question. In this case, the key question is how can the client increase non-subscription based revenue? Right? So step two, we break down the problem. We can break it at the highest level. We can break down non-subscription based revenue into two MISI drivers or mutually exclusive, collectively exhaustive drivers, which is advertising and non-advertising, right? Under advertising, we can look at ads, we can look at product placements, we can look at sponsorships, all these contributing to advertising revenue, right? From a non-advertising perspective, we could look at making money through, let's say, merchandise sales, making money through pay-per-view events, making money through in-app purchases, right? So if you look at advertising revenue, it's coming from um, advertisers, right? Advertisers are contributing to advertising revenue. While if you look at non-advertising, it's primarily your subscribers, or it could be non-subscribers too, related to, let's say, merchandise sales, right? Now, third step is we start generating ideas, right? And because we have broken down the problem into drivers and sub-drivers, we can be more targeted in terms of idea generation. So in step three, let's look at ads. How can the client generate money through ads, right? Of course, we can generate money through direct advertisements. However, he can increase the revenue he makes by offering more personalized ads because he has a lot of user data that he can leverage and personalize those ads. Second, we can also offer advertisers more advanced targeting options, right, based on, let's say, user demographic, interests, etc. Second is product placement. So, how can the client generate more revenue through product placements? First, they can integrate products into shows, right? And brands would be happy to pay for this product placement. Second, there could be also brand mentions within the show or the movie, right? Now, related to sponsorship, client can increase revenue through allowing advertisers to, let's say, sponsor awards, sponsor wardrobe, right? And they could also have shows which are sponsored by companies. For example, Pepsi sponsoring a show related to a documentary about the history of Pepsi, right? Now let's move to non-advertising revenue increase. Here we could look at merchandise sales. For example, we could have limited edition collectibles, figurines for popular characters, right? That will generate revenue for us. We could also collaborate with, let's say, apparel companies to introduce character-inspired fashion clothing, right? Then we have pay-per-view events, right? we could charge users for live performances, live concerts. We could also charge users to watch, let's say, live red carpet events or behind the scenes, events during popular shows. Third is the in-app purchases. We could charge users who want to purchase early access to shows. We could also allow them to rent movies, right? Those movies which are not available to the general subscriber population, right? So at this level, because we have generated ideas after we have disaggregated, right? We can come up with multiple ideas, right? And a lot of these ideas are relevant to increasing non-subscription based revenue. So now let's look at some common case analysis mistakes that candidates make that tends to derail their entire case interview performance. The first, mistake that we have repeated, I think, throughout the course multiple times is candidates emphasizing speed over accuracy, right? So let me repeat again. Speed as a dimension is not tested in case interviews. What is being tested is, can you, in an accurate manner, right, do mathematical computations, right? So therefore, maintain a pace that ensures accuracy in your calculations. Second common mistake I see a lot of candidates making is they fail to perform a sanity check. After you have come to a quantitative answer, always ask yourself, does this answer make logical sense, right? You can do that by, let's say, comparing your answer to an intuitively comparable number. For example, let's say you come up with the market size of the coffee industry as $100 billion, right? Then what you can do is that you can compare $100 billion to 300 million population, right? And determine what does this mean in terms of what is the average spend particular US resident is making, right? On coffee, right? If that number looks quite high, then it's time to revisit our equation, revisit our assumptions, and identify where error might have occurred, and make the necessary adjustments to come to a more reasonable market size. Finally, the third mistake a lot of candidates make is they fail to synthesize. Right? They fail to interpret what this quantitative answer, what the solution means to the client's key question. Right? So always, once you have come up with a quantitative answer, tie it back to the client objective, right? Offer the so what of this analysis. Let's recap. What you have learned in this particular module is brainstorming is a crucial skill that is tested. It is your opportunity to convey to the firm that you're somebody who can think in a structured manner and come up with relevant ideas and holistic ideas. In order to brainstorm effectively, there's a 3-step approach that we recommend. It starts with defining the core question or key question. Step 2, you break down the question into direct and drivers and sub-drivers. Then you prioritize and then generate ideas on the prioritized drivers. Fourth, or the last element or the last recap that we touched upon is common analysis mistakes. The first mistake a lot of candidates make is they focus on speed rather than accuracy, right? Second, they fail to perform sanity check. They fail to ask themselves, does this quantitative answer make logical sense? Do I need to revisit my assumptions? Do I need to revisit my equation? Third mistake a lot of candidates make is they fail to synthesize. They fail to ask themselves, what does this quantitative answer mean in the context of the client objective, in the context of the key question that we were trying to answer? Thank you for listening. In the next module, we will talk about case recommendation.